Kaiji, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Bizarre Situations Which Can Be Exploited for the Purposes of Gambling. One of the best series of 2007 that I somehow managed to completely ignore at the time, Kaiji, or Gambling Apocalypse Kaiji, the Suffering Pariah, the Ultimate Survivor, is, as you might have guessed from the name, the adaptation of a long-running gambling manga. The series follows our titular hero Kaiji, an underemployed, angry young man with few prospects in life who enjoys venting his frustration through card games, cheap booze and vandalising expensive cars. Unfortunately, one of these cars turns out to be the property of a shady debt collector who's come to collect on a massive outstanding loan that Kaiji naively co-signed for. He is then offered a choice. Kaiji can either spend many years working his crappy convenience store job to pay back the money, or bet his life in a high-stakes gamble that could clear the debt and make him a very rich man in the process. Needless to say, it would not be much of a series if Kaiji went back to work. To discuss the plot of a show like Kaiji is a bit problematic though. What sets the series apart is the ridiculous tension it manages to build up with each passing episode, and to really get down to the brass tacks of the story would simply spoil the fun of it. Suffice to say that Kaiji's journey really does put him through the grinder, as he is conned, double-crossed and virtually stripped of his sanity before the end of the second episode. Unlike your typical shonen fighting protagonist though, he can rely only on his wits and frequent bouts of manly crying, as he tries to outthink his sadistic hosts, who seem to enjoy nothing more than reducing him to the level of human cattle. As you have no doubt noticed by now, the art in Kaiji isn't especially pretty. In fact, one of the main complaints levelled at this series is that it looks bloody ugly. That said, while it certainly won't knock anyone flat with its visual splendour, I actually thought it looked okay. If you can get over the typically ridiculous noses sported by many of the characters, you might even find the look rather grows on you. The flat, solid designs aren't what you might typically associate with anime, but they're distinctive, and they actually kind of remind me of Cartoon Network fares such as Johnny Bravo or Dexter's Lab. The series is not without its faults by any means. The story thrives on a certain sense of disbelief, and most of what happens is pretty ridiculous. It certainly doesn't bear too much close scrutiny. Character development is pretty minimal as well. Other than Kaiji himself, we never really find out anything much about the people involved in the game or how they came to be there. This doesn't really hurt the drama, but the lack of depth probably makes it unlikely that the series would hold up to more than one viewing. And as other reviewers have pointed out, it's also notable that there are virtually no female characters in the series at all. There's certainly none that have any bearing on the plot. Personally, I didn't really notice this while watching it, but looking back it does seem slightly curious that the gamblers are exclusively male. Nevertheless, Kaiji is a series I would readily recommend to pretty much anyone. There's nothing prohibitively Japanese about it. It's just an entertaining, pulpy yarn that's sure to hold your attention while it lasts. I'm not really a fan of numerical scoring, but a lucky 7 seems like a good way to end this.